We all want to feel heard.
Sven TikTok's viral counselor and motivational coach with over 800,000 followers, he's inspiring millions to be the best version of themselves, one video at a time. Sven grew up in Minnesota with two Lutheran parents who showed him the power of faith and acceptance. He went on to join the military, after which he became an NCAA head coach, pastor who supported LGBTQ+ rights, and emergency room chaplain, before starting Badass Counseling with the goal of inspiring others to be the best version of themselves. He's since published 6 books, helped countless clients, and now creates viral motivational content helping millions of people around the world.
Have a kick-ass day.
Please welcome Sven from Badass Counseling. Sven, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Sven, you know, I have become such a big fan, and I found you on TikTok. I know you have a presence on multiple social media platforms, and I've really done a deep dive into your messaging. You know, I am a gay young man. I don't claim to be, loud and proud. I'm just who I am, and if that's loud and proud to some people, then great, and to other people it might not be that progressive, okay? But I've found that through my life, I've had a lot of internalized homophobia, a lot of pressures that people have put onto me, whether it be because I'm LGBTQ+, or just because I'm a free thinker. You know, I was very more feminine as a young child. I loved music and arts, and I loved singing and performing, which was something that a lot of people going to private Christian school with with parents who were teachers and Christians, and my grandfather was a pastor. It was something that was a little bit misunderstood in my space. But what I found is, as I matured into an adulthood and went through puberty, what I found is I would suppress stuff inside myself. And because I was so positive, it was, at the time, I thought it was a gift, I would just find the best in where I was, supposed to having conversations that they would have loved to have them. The people around me would have loved to have it, because they didn't know what was going on inside of me. But I settled. And I said, I can find the best of where I am today, and I can keep going. But looking back, if I would have just gone inside myself and said, this is enough, I can't take it. I need to stop. So you've talked about this, and you call it the downside of blonde positive attitude. Can you explain to us what that means?
Yeah, absolutely. It's simply this. I was raised in a home where, look on the sunny side of life, right? And I'm glad that I got that. You put me in any situation, and I can find the good. And I enjoy being around similar positive people. So as we go through life, we find the good, and we find the good, and we compromise, and, we're always told, well, you should compromise in your relationships, and you got to be willing to compromise in your career. You can't have everything. And so you find yourself compromising, right? Let's say you're in this relationship, and you're going down the road, you're compromising. I was taught to be a giver, and so I want to give and make my partner happy. And you're going down the road, and then you realize you get further and further down the road of making the best of it, and then you have this moment of, but holy shit, this isn't what I actually want. Yes, I can make the best out of anything, but I didn't want this. And so what it requires, being simultaneously positive and finding the good in everything, while always asking the question, yes, but am I on the trajectory of what I want? That doesn't mean I need to get everything I want in every moment. It's like a stock in the stock market. The stock is trending up. It may take the occasional dips, may have a bad week, but is it trending up? In other words, is the trajectory of your life going in a direction that you have actually chosen because it comes from inside of you, not chosen because you feel pressure to it. And gee, I'll just make the best of it. I'll make the best of it. Oh, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. When you get down the road and realize, yeah, it really actually is. So it's the deliberate choice from inside. Does it resonate with who I am? And am I also allowing for, that there are going to be down days, whatever, and leaving some, finesse room in there, but knowing that I am on the trajectory of something that makes me happy, breathes life to me.
And I love how you say that, because I think that a lot of people, they only notice they need to make a change if it's trending down. But the idea of a plateau isn't so bad. I often hear this. If it's going up a little down, but overarching, it's a plateau. The thing for me is, I find, at least for myself, the trap I get to in those moments is this idea that I have this dream life or this dream job that I am chasing after. And that I have these goals and I have to have a purpose. And if I lose that purpose, then everything is going to go trudge down. So even though I'm just staying the same, at least I'm following my purpose. At least I'm doing what I think is my dream goal or my dream life. And what I find for a lot of that time is you achieve that dream goal, you achieve that dream life, you achieve that purpose, and then you don't have anything left because the joy was in the journey, not in actually achieving the goal. And so you end up plateauing, and it becomes such a sad life. Here's my question. You've spoken about positive power of quitting to succeed. When you're at a plateau and when you're not growing, could you describe what that means and what we need to do to quit to succeed?
Yes, absolutely. It's simply this. It's forever making assessments. I was in the military, and at the Air Force Academy, and I was studying to become a fighter pilot or some type of pilot. And so I've had many friends over the years who were pilots, military aviators and commercial aviators. And one of the things they say is, in order to sustain level flight, the pilot is not holding the yoke or the joystick stable, totally static. They're forever making the tiniest adjustments in that stick, in the yoke. They're forever making it with their instruments or with their controls. In other words, life, we're constantly making adjustments. If it's come to a plateau, and even before the plateau, or even when you're trending up or when you're trending down, is forever asking the question, what, in all honesty, it really boils down to this. That to maximize your joy, I mean, you can be on the path of your passion, and maybe your passion is making music. Okay, maybe that's your life passion. And yes, you have a goal of, I want to be a professional musician on the stage at, Burning Man or at, some Coachella or whatever. That's my dream. I want to have a platinum record. But it's living with an open hand, right? So it's living with an open hand and allowing the possibility of things happening that I can't foresee today. But it's always asking this question: what is it that's in my life presently, in any aspect of my life, that is bleeding my life energy, that is bleeding me, boring me, numbing me, that I have to conjure up energy just to do, and it requires the courage to begin to reduce those things that are bleeding your life energy, or perhaps even eliminate them entirely. Because the thing that keeps us most significantly off of the path of joy, off of the path of peace, off of the path of inspiration, of true excitement of life, is those other things in our lives, or those other voices inside of us telling us, oh, you should, or you can't, or not that, or where we continue on a path that just doesn't feel good. And maybe it's the simple path of something as ridiculous as, I need to stop drinking coffee. Let's say it's that, because I'm seeing that caffeine is disrupting my sleep, and because of the sleep, I have bad energy at the end of the day, and because of that, I'm not able to create music. And whatever it might be, it's not just the big decisions, it's the small decisions too. It's having the courage to forever be assessing, forever making those adjustments. What is it in my life leaking my life energy? And I don't mean just a bad day. I mean, what's sucking my life energy, what's boring me, what's not. And by the courage to begin to reduce it. And life, remember this, life begins no. Life begins at the word no. Because inside the word no really is the word I matter. And this doesn't feel good. And if you have the courage to see both of those things that don't breathe life into you, you're creating more life energy, and life becomes much more exciting. Feeling, as you talk about, in the day to day.
I feel like you're describing what so many of us have been through this last year. To just break down the last 7 months of my life, it has been this idea that I realized I needed to make a change because, number one, I wasn't happy. And number two, I was chasing after something that not only was it unrealistic that I would achieve on that path, but number two, it wasn't something I really wanted to do. Then after that, I was depressed because I felt like I have spent the last year of my life pursuing something, being successful in something that not only is something that wasn't really made for me to do, I wasn't made to do, okay? I wasn't naturally prone to do it. I was good at it, but it wasn't like my heart passion. But number two, that I had spent a lot of my resources and time on, to the effect where I kind of like, it's not worth going on to do more. What I found is I did exactly what you said, cleared out, said no, got rid of some friends that were not adding something to my life. I made changes in patterns, started eating healthy, being more committed to fitness, and in my fitness journey, I explored different types of ways to get exercise and found ones that I actually liked. Before I was just doing stuff that they were telling me to do, you know? Right. But then I got to this point where it's like, all right, I've cut out the fat, I've decided to quit. But I need to know what to do next. I don't know what to do next. So I go to my mentors and I ask them, what am I supposed to do with my life? And they said, well, if you can do anything and you know you're not going to fail, what would it be? And then it followed with 2 or 3 weeks of all these crazy, awesome ideas. More ideas than somebody could do in 10 lifetimes, let alone one. Okay, even Elon Musk couldn't do all this stuff. I was so excited. And then after that 3-week high died off, I was left with even more confusion than before because I was like, I have all these ideas, but what do I do? and I was flailing.
I interrupt this program to remind you to like this video and subscribe with push notifications on.
I've heard you talk about this idea of shifting from that question of what would you do if you could never fail to what would you do if you knew you were going to fail? If you were to put your head down for the next 10 years and fail once and twice and 3 times, 7 years from now 20 times, 10 years from now 25 times, but you're still doing it because that's what you're here to do. Why is it so important for us to make that shift?
Precisely because of the fact of what you just said, that there, and what we've been talking about, there are always going to be downtimes, and that the downtimes may be in the work itself, the downtimes may be what's going on at home, the downtimes may be because your mother is dying. My 93-year-old mother is reaching the end of her life, and that constitutes a downtime for anyone, or there are going to be downtimes, and what's going to propel you through the downtime, at least regarding your work, is the fact that I love this work. It breathes life into my soul. This is where I'm supposed to be, at least for now. And here's the other thing about it, is one passion often opens up into another passion. My mother always said, sometimes, Sven, we have to pass through this door, not because we're supposed to be in this room, but because on the other side of that, there's another door that leads down this stairway to an elevator up to this room, up here on the roof, that has a little entryway to a greenhouse over here. That's where you can be for the next 8 years. But you'll never know about that greenhouse if you don't pass through the doors. And it means sort of following the feel, trusting that feel inside. But yes, I very, very much believe in the first question you brought up, cracking open our thing. What would you do if you could? And I love that question. It's a great question. But as you said, I believe in looking at what would I be willing to do, even if I knew there was a high likelihood I would fail. Because then you're not just doing it for the success. Then you're doing it for the love of the work. An old Hasidic Jewish proverb that simply goes, each man must carefully observe which way his heart is calling him, and then pursue that path with all his strength. And it takes the courage to do that, even when you're failing. My books, I wrote my first book, Spiritual But Not Religious. I was the first author in America to both name and delineate the spiritual but not religious movement in America, which is now the single largest religious movement in the history of America. And I started writing that back in 94, 95. Came out in 99. Probably 4 people read that book. I wrote 5 more books, one that didn't get published, so 6, whatever. I'd sell a few books a year, maybe 100, whatever. It didn't sell. Nobody read my books, but I kept writing. Why? Because I'm dumb. Also, I still had more that I felt needed to be put out there. I had more that I needed to say. So I wrote books like Badass Jesus, or The 7 Evangelical Myths, or I Steal Wives, Infidelity, particularly female infidelity. And then I wrote this last one, There's a Love Cup. None of them sold until about 4 months ago. And now I'm selling literally hundreds of copies a day. There are 33 million books sold on Amazon. And a few weeks ago, my book was in the self-help area, number 28 overall in self-help. And so it's just like, because of TikTok. Well, 20 years ago, almost 30 years ago, when I first started writing, there was no social media. There was barely even personal computers, let alone TikTok. I did it, and I kept failing. I kept getting thrown out of ministry when I was a pastor. In part standing up for gay rights, in part because of my books, in part because of my personality. But I kept going that path until it opened to a new door. And then, I'd always been counseling, and then that weaves into other things. I spent 2.5 years living on the street and ministering to the homeless. I gave up all my life possessions, slept on concrete every night for 2.5 years. Why? It was the next one. And things weave together. And what? I'm in my late 40s and my 50s, and finally the tapestry of my life makes sense. And so, yeah, I was willing to fail. I believe, but it's a hard choice for a lot of people. It doesn't always lead to poverty and to divorces, as it is, but making that decision of what breathes life into my soul. You know what makes people finally choose that? Is that the pain gets bad enough. Pain of not choosing what you love. I always tell my clients, change will not occur until the pain is bad. And so we go down this path of careers that may pay well and bring success, but horribly unfulfilling, where they bleed the life out of us. And you go down that long enough, people come to me in their 30s, 50s, and they say, Sven, my life sucks. What do I got to do? And that's when they begin to finally listen to the voice of their own soul, begin to make those changes. Of course, the downside then is the stakes are higher. You got a mortgage check, whatever. But
Not to cut in here, but I just have to say,
Yeah,
you're
go ahead.
describing exactly somebody who's very close to me. My older brother is so supportive, incredibly supportive of my career. I could not be doing what I'm doing today. I probably wouldn't be alive without him, for the sole purpose that he's been so accepting, despite the rest of my family, of me being LGBTQ+. He supported my fun times, right? So over the pandemic, we didn't quarantine together, but we were the only ones each other saw, so we were able to have great fun nights of ordering fun food and watching the Harry Potter series from start to finish every Friday night. It was so great. But, for him, I just feel so sorry because he has this job that he loves so much, and he has an apartment that he loves so much, and really his life is great. There's this 2-hour commute a day, though, that's getting in the way of his happiness. And I feel so hard for him because he's sitting here and helping support my dream as I'm pursuing my career, and I feel like he's doing it at the cost of himself. And, he's getting back. It was fine over the pandemic because he was able to work from home most of the time. But now it's getting back to that point where it's every single day, 5 days a week, 4 weeks a month, every day. He's going into work, 2 hours commuting, and it's really, I'm seeing, starting to take a toll on him. And I push him, I say, have a conversation with your boss, or, try to make a change now before you get in a dark place. My question for you, Sven, if there's somebody like Matt at home watching this, who's feeling that they're screwed up and a failure, or they feel like they're stuck, what can they do within themselves to help their mental and emotional self switch on and get their life back on track?
Very simple, not necessarily easy, but simple. 3 things have to come out of you before your real self is not out there. It's in here. It's not about finding, it's about allowing. Okay? And that shift in thinking makes a big difference. Well, then you ask the question, why wouldn't it be coming up? How am I not allowing it? It's because it came from your past. The fears that have arisen in you, and most importantly, and this is how I'm different from most therapists, the BS beliefs you've been taught about yourself that you can't even see. That is what is keeping the real self locked up and blocked up. So you start journaling, you start counseling. If you want, get my latest book, because I put all my counseling methods into one spot. I'm sorry that the plug, but it is what it is. It helps you identify what those beliefs are, those underlying messages you were taught about yourself that got pressed. I always tell people, when children are wet cement, our soul is wet cement. Like when the men and women lay the sidewalk out in front of the house, right? In front of their house, and they make it nice and smooth, and then they put the taper on it, they go home and have their dinner. And all the kids in the neighborhood come out and they walk in it, or they press, something in it and whatever, or they grab a stick and they write Tommy as a thing, and those things that get pressed into wet cement harden, they calcify. Well, so do the underlying messages of children. And those become the belief system. Those become the virus infecting the operating system of your life that you can't even see. And so what I do is I help people identify, as my 93-year-old mother always said, naming the beast is half the problem. And beginning to identify that as you get pain out, which any therapist can help you with, get those fears out, any therapist can help with, and begin to identify those core beliefs, all of a sudden you become lighter. Like taking another giant rock out of that burlap sack and you begin to have life energy. And who you really are, your true self that got packed away a long time ago, begins to bubble up. All of a sudden life has meaning again, and all of a sudden the sun is shining again. All of a sudden I'm randomly laughing for no reason. Life changes as we get that out. So what you do is begin to get those 3 things: in the fears, the BS beliefs of yourself.
So it sounds like to me, to summarize what we talked about today, what you need to do to get your life back on track, if you feel down, you feel plateaued or like on a downward trajectory, it's simply trim the fat, get rid of the perception of the dream, get rid of this perception of what success means. Get rid of the outside voices, be that your parents back as a childhood, whether that be the voice inside yourself, or the external forces as best as you can. I know we still have financial commitments. We have commitments in work, in personal life. I get that. We can't cut everything. It's not a switch we can just cut. But start to be conscious of what's bringing you down and make the changes you can over time to bring yourself back to the life you want to have, not the life you think is the dream or of what you think you have to do to be successful, but make today count. And make the life that you can live today successful. Sven, What do you want to plug before you go?
Catch me on TikTok, Badass Counseling, or on Instagram. All my vids come out first on TikTok. Go to badasscounseling.com. My latest book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup. It'll totally change your life. And then also there I have video courses for people who hate to read. it's been great being on your show. I love it, man. You're a great guy. I love questions, love your energy. Thank you
And
so much.
Sven, we would love to have you back anytime. So if you have something you want to get out there, you want to have a nice interview for, you want to come on our Carl head, you're always welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'd love to come back anytime.
Coming up on Timo After Hours, August and Sid, the queer couple that broke the internet with their inspiring story of love, trust, and devotion despite life-changing trauma. A story of a trans man falling in love with a lesbian, and through time and friendship, he won her over, creating an unbreakable bond that saw them through joblessness, a global pandemic, and trauma, resulting from the horrific sexual assault that later led to the birth of their greatest gift, their daughter Bo. A story of a young family that faced unbeatable odds and not only fought them head on, but beat them, going on to inspire millions with their story of trust, devotion, and love. But before they could build their life together, they had to first discover who they were for themselves. An internal journey, lonely, confused, and afraid, they pushed through and created a life they were meant to live. In this 4-part YouTube series, we will hear the life-changing story of August and Sid. All this and more on the next Timo After Hours.
Hi, it's Sven from Badass Counseling. It's been awesome being on Tim's show. He's the best. Love his energy. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share his videos, and I guarantee you, it's life-changing stuff.
Click the green box to see my latest video where I interviewed this awesome couple who dances and lives like it's 1950. Blue to subscribe, and the pink to see my full series playlist. I'm your boy Timo. Until next time, keep your smile side up.